to show you how to make a basic infographic poster today on Photoshop. So here I've got on my screen a fairly typical infographic poster. This one happens to be quite long because it's got quite a lot of information, and it would be suited to both a physical paper poster on a wall, but also it would be great for social media sort of app whereby you scroll down and look at each part of the infographic poster. So, just having a look at the basic anatomy of the poster, this one has a main heading and it has a subheading below. The images look like they were transparent PNGs in the form of coloured icons, and they've been placed on a circle. So, and that creates a consistency, as you can see, and that's known as repetition. Okay, and the fact that they're all colourful icons and not a mixture of black and white icons and photos means that it's using one of the scrap principles known as repetition. Okay, so where do we start? Well, we're going to start off by creating a document on Photoshop, and the typical width of a device these days is 1920 pixels wide. So how long do you think your document would need to be? Well, I'd say that this length is about 4 times the width. So I've got my calculator out, and 1920 times 4 is 7,680. So that's how long I'm going to make my document. So I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to pick Custom. Okay, now if you can't find it, you might have to go, say, to Print. You might need to go, let's see, View All Presets, and scroll down till you get Custom. If you can't find it, you can simply type in here what you want. So I'll start with the top, and I'm just going to call it Hannah. It's always good to start with your name, and that way when I save your posters on my computer, I can see instantly whose is who. So I'm going to put Hannah underscore, and I'm just going to call it infographic poster. Okay, and I'm just going to change this to pixels, and as I said before, I'm going to make it 1920 pixels wide by, and I'll just check my calculator again, 7680. So 7680. I'm going to keep the resolution at 300 because I intend to print this out, and then I'm going to click Create. So that's quite a long, narrow one. Yours may not be that at all. Yours might be quite wide. It may be a landscape poster. It may be just a regular A3 poster. But I just thought I'd show you that. So the first thing I want to do now is just make sure I have everything that I'm going to need. Now I've got my workspace. If I click Window, I've got my workspace on Essentials, but there's a few extra things that I want. Okay, so when I click Window, I can actually add other things. For instance, I want history. As you've probably already found out, Photoshop only allows you to make one correction with the Control Z. So in order to correct, you need to go back. You need your history palette, and you need to just go backwards on that. So at the moment, I've got no layers on there yet because I haven't done anything. So keep that handy. Other things you will need, of course, are your layers, which is already there, and your toolbar. Okay. In case they're not there, just simply go to Window and tick them. So layers and tools down here. Okay, now my poster is just a plain white, so we're going to pick a color and we're going to make that our background. I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to show you how to make a gradient, because I think some of you may want to do that as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is click my swatches over here, and I'm going to pick a color. I think I'll pick that. Okay, and then I'm just going to go edit, oops, edit fill, and I'm just going to fill the contents with the foreground color, which is that hot pink that's in the foreground. The red would be the background color. So foreground is pink, so click that and then click OK. Okay, so there's a really lovely hot pink poster. I'm fairly certain some of you may want to do a gradient, so I'm going to show you how to do that as well. So over here is my gradient tool, okay, and I'm just hovering over it, and it's actually giving me instructions on what to do. And interestingly, it shows my two swatches. Okay, so that the foreground and the background, and it's those two colors that will make the gradient. If I wanted to change those colors, say the background, I can double click on that and change it. So I'll change it to white now. So my gradient will become a hot pink to white gradient. So I click on that and it gives me, my cursor has like two crosshairs, and I simply draw a straight line either vertically or horizontally, and there you go, there's my gradient. Very pretty. Okay, the next thing I want to do is make a text box, and I'm just going to type the title of my poster. So we just go to T, okay, and you can actually draw. Oh, sorry, I'm going to just stop for a minute. I've forgotten something, and that is my grid. Okay, we're going to need that because we're going to align everything, and we also want a border around our poster. So I'm going to put a grid as well. So I'm going to go to view, and I'm going to go show grid. View, show grid. And that's really going to be very, very helpful for working out how to align images and text, but also to kind of work out how close to the border I should go. I'm not going to go any closer than, say, 2 of these squares. Okay, so we'll keep it consistent all around. Don't ever go right to the edge of your poster with images or text. It looks quite untidy and it makes your eye drift off the poster. Okay, you want to contain the eye within the poster. So that's what that border is for. Okay, so let's draw a text box, shall we? So I'm just going to make sure I don't draw it to the very edge, about there. So I'm keeping it even, and I'm going to change the font size, and I'm going to type in computer hardware, and at the moment I've got pink selected. So when I click on the T for text, it gives me new options up the top, including the font size, the font, okay, what the sort of style of that font, in this case the regular, whether I want it center aligned or left aligned. I think I like it center for the title, and of course the color. So I'm just going to change the color to, I'll just change it to grey, and it's already put some text in there. It's just random place filler text to give you an idea what size your font is. I'm going to delete that. Okay, it's called lorem ipsum, and it's very common for graphic designers to use it. And I'm just going to highlight and delete. There's quite a bit in there. And I'm just going to type in the heading of my poster, which is computer hardware. And that's probably too small, so I'm going to highlight it and make it a bit bigger. Okay, so there's my heading over there. Now, you might have a shape behind that. That's no problem. We can add that now if we want. So I'm just going to go to my color picker and reverse it. Oops, I shouldn't have done that. So let's go back in history. Just go back. So that was easy. And I'm going to draw a rectangle. So here's my tool. That's my rectangle tool. And if I click on that little tiny arrow, I've got quite a few shapes handy. And in fact, I'm going to use the ellipse tool to draw my circles. But anyway, let's draw a rectangle. And when you click on the rectangle tool, your options change again. So in this case, it's saying I want a hot pink fill, which I certainly don't want because my background's pink, so I'll pick white. Do I want a stroke or a border around the box? No, I don't personally think they're necessary, so I'm going to make that 0. Okay, and now I'm just going to draw my box around it, and I'm actually just going to enlarge it so I can see where I'm drawing it. So I'll just draw about 3 pixels on either side of the text, and I'll end it 2 pixels before the end. Okay, so you're probably all thinking, oh no, it's covered the text. Well, just click that. Let's have a look here on my layers. So my rectangle is above the text. So all I have to do is shuffle it and move the rectangle beneath. Okay, so there we go. Now my white rectangle is behind. The next thing I'm going to do is draw a circle, and on that circle I'm going to put my transparent PNG icons of different or various computer hardware bits. So back to my shapes, and I'm going to pick ellipse because an ellipse is how you get a circle. In fact, to get a perfect circle, we click ellipse and also we click shift at the same time. Again, it's given me the option to change the color, so I'm just going to stick to white again. Okay, now you probably already know what you're doing. I'm just making this up as I go, but you have your wireframes. Okay, so you know what you need to do. So I'm just going to, there we go. I've drawn a circle already. I'm not too concerned with where it's going yet. I can move it. So once I've drawn it, I just get my move tool and I can, oops. Okay. So I've made a mistake. I should have put that on a new layer. So every time I move my circle, it's moving my rectangle too. So what do? Just go back to history and go backwards. So I'm just going to go here plus, and I've got a blank layer, and now I'm just going to do that again. So click on my ellipse tool, make sure I've got a white fill. Actually, I might leave the stroke so that you can see it and I'll just make it thicker so you can see what it looks like. I actually don't like the stroke. You can see there's a very fine stroke there. It's only 0.88 pixels. Okay, watch what happens when I make it thicker. Okay, so it looks a bit clumsy. I don't like it. I'm just going to omit it entirely. But what I will do is I will now move that circle so that it aligns with my rectangle. Now, normally you should be getting guidelines, which you probably can't see on the pink, but you should get a line saying that they're aligned. If I wanted that in the middle, my guidelines, I'll get a pink sort of line there. Can you see? See that line, how it's telling me that it's in the middle? Okay, so they're all guides. Now, if you can't see that, if it's not working for you, just go back to view and show. Make sure you show your smart guides. Okay, and another thing you can do is snap to guides, and that means that whenever you move that, it will kind of know where to stop. It will just snap to the same line as this. Now, you're probably thinking, how am I going to make all my circles the same size? Well, that's quite easy. All you have to do is get your move tool, click on the circle that you want to copy. So that's this layer here, and click Option at the same time. And it will actually just repeat it. It will make an exact copy for you. Okay, so you can just keep clicking Option, and then you can start aligning them. Now, I haven't made a wireframe for this. I'm just making it up as I go, just for the sake of this tutorial. So I'm not sure how many of these I can fit, but I'll see how many I can. And it's kind of even measuring where it should go. So it's kind of, if you know, 1, 2, 3, you should have 1, 2, 3, you should, there we go. It's kind of snapping. And then I'll do it again. So just make sure everything is lined up, okay? And I just simply, that's wrong, I just simply count the numbers of squares between each and the number of squares on the edge and on that too. It's not perfect. I'm doing this quickly just for the sake of showing you. So yeah, my poster is actually very long. I could probably fit probably 15 circles on that, which I don't want to do. But don't forget I need to fit text as well. So anyway, I won't continue with that. What I will do though is show you how to put your icon on top of that. So File, Place Embedded, and I just happened to have saved an image of a CPU. There we go, and it's got a transparent background. And I click Place, as you can see, it's transparent, and I'll just click Shift to, oh no, I don't click Shift, I just shrink it down. Don't have to do that anymore. And I can put that on one of my circles. Now, you might think, oh, I'm really struggling to get that in the middle. You can use your up and down key as well, and that will give you more precision. Okay, so there you go. That is how you put your images on a sort of a geometric shape. Now, sometimes it's good to be able to not see the guidelines. Sometimes they can be a bit annoying. So you can just simply go View, Show, and then you can get rid of the grid by unchecking it. But then there's also a shortcut here, which is Command, and it looks like an apostrophe. Anyway, that's what it looks like without. So let me see. Yeah, so Command apostrophe is the shortcut. Okay, last thing I want to show you is a text box for typing in our information. It's pretty much the same as what you did here, which was just simply type in a text box. So I'm just going to click on that and make a text box and change the font size to at least 14, and I'm going to leave it like that. Actually, don't mind that size, but what I will do is I'm going to use a different alignment. So when I click on text, Up the top here it gives me various options. I can have left aligned, center aligned, and also right aligned. I might do sort of left aligned actually. Make sure that your text is also aligned with the circle. So I'm just going to get my grid back again just to make sure. Okay, and I'm going to make one on this side, and I'm going to make that one right aligned. You don't have to do that. That's just something that you can think about. So again, we want to have the same size text box. Oops. We're just going to draw one that is aligned with that. Okay, and I'm going to right align it. So there's some ways that you can left and right and center align, how you can use various types of alignment. Okay, so one more little trick. Use your rulers if you need to. So go view, rulers. I've already got mine and they're up here. And you can just drag them out and just check your alignment that way. And everything's pretty aligned. You can drag out as many rulers as you need. Oops, that one didn't work. So there, and you can see that that text box is not aligned. You can see my guidelines working already. Okay. Yeah, so there you go. Yep, so there. So there you have it. There's some very basic steps on making infographic poster using Photoshop. Your final step would be to save it. You'd need to save as a Photoshop file because I doubt very much you would finish this in one lesson. So you need to save it on your computer and you need to save it as a Photoshop file. Okay. And you also, once you've finished it, you can save it as a PDF. So if you can't see PDF, so it's just here, just go save a copy. But PDF is there. Click save. Okay, just save it. Yes. Okay, and if I go to my desktop, it's just here. Oops. It's not saved yet. It's still saving. Okay, so it's here, and that's the one that you would put in your. Ooh, actually, you can't see a PDF. No, you can. So that one can go into your Google folder. However, if you had a Google slide presentation, you would need to save it as a JPEG because Google Slides doesn't support PDF images. Okay, so that's it. So I hope you understand what to do now, and I shall see you in class. Thank you. Bye now.